Welcome back to the 2024 Mid-Season Invitational live from Chengdu, China. Ooh. Yesterday we kicked off elimination games and said goodbye to Fnatic, and today another team will sadly end their MSI run as we open the day with G2 Esports and Paris Saint-Germain Talon. The teams are ready to take place in our arena for the most important match so far, and the fans are ready as well, cheering for G2 here as we see Amlo, and I will be joined by Jat and Raz. How are you guys doing?
I'm excited.
Yes.
Yesterday we got 9 games.
I know.
I think we're getting 7 games today.
7 games, all right. Less stress for you guys today.
Yeah,
as
I guess
well,
so.
I would appreciate
I imagine.
that.
And of course, later on today we will have T1 taking on BLG. But let's recap what happened yesterday, maybe, shall we? We said goodbye to a team as we said Fnatic is on the flight home right now, sadly. But yeah, props to you guys. TL played phenomenal.
Yeah, I was really happy to see TL come out the way they did, especially after the really disappointing 0-3 they had against TES. I think this was, to me, even though this is... So my stated goal for NA was to beat EU at MSI. Team Liquid has a different stated goal. They want to go further, but at least in this case, I'm very happy that they got to have this result.
I think both of our goals were the same. I think we come out the winners for this one, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So
high fives all around.
So the only way that we can be losers,
Yes.
Team Liquid, is if they lose to G2 again.
Yes.
So it's, but it's weird too because the only team I want to see G2 lose to is Team Liquid. So I'm fully Team G2 today because I need to see it happen.
I like that thought process. I think I'm all aboard for that one.
Battle of the Atlantic is the match that I love the most, honestly. We saw the teams gearing up to the arena. I want to say surprising best of 5s from both these teams. PSG Talon, Fnatic, G2 Esports. I need to digest the fact that Fnatic is out, I think. But yeah, honestly, props to PSG Talon for the last series. For me, they have been the most surprising team in the main events so far.
Yes,
absolutely.
Same for me. I think for PSG Talon, the thing that I enjoyed the most was just how proactive they were early on. Junja being able to go bot lane consistently and get Betty ahead, and also just the willingness to take these skirmishes. PSG for me was a really strong fundamental team, but unwilling to take scraps like this domestically, and we saw this consistently at least in this series.
Yeah, and for me, PSG has been one of the best teams at the tournament playing from ahead. If they get a lead, they win. And that was true even against BLG, which is not something I expected.
And something we've talked about is how the veterans, especially from this PSG lineup, Betty, Maple, have showed a lot of things and have carried the rest of the team through success. Is it going to show today? We'll see against G2 Esports, who have been surprising as well in their 5-game series against T1. Taking the world champions to 5-game, not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and so these are just my takeaways from it, as I already mentioned. Just continue to impact lanes early for Junja because he went bot side often and early. It was really heavily, I would say, at first when I saw the Lucian Nami taking heavy trades and then coming out even, I was like, oh, that's going to be really tough for Betty. But then in comes Junja, also came back for the Vi bot lane dive. So I thought this was his best series that I've seen from him, and I really wanted to see that continue. And of course, just like taking skirmishes often, as I'd already said.
And moving to G2, what did we think of the series they had against T1 here again?
I mean, there was clearly disappointment that they didn't win.
Yeah,
holy crap. LEC is so lucky to have G2 as their team that represents them as much as people want to meme about the one-team region. You have the greatest of all time in Caps, still playing at an insanely high level, getting multiple solo kills against Faker. You have the team with the most interesting champion pools and drafts of any team in the world at this MSI. And then they come out with such flair in these games, like the support Poppy getting 3 or 4 kills on the Varus Kalista lane of Keria Gumayushi. They couldn't quite pull it out in the end. Mikyx said he was very happy with their ability to get leads from playing the map. Disappointed that they were unable to win the team fights, but that was it. Like, they were literally half a step away from knocking T1 down into the lower bracket. So they should be infused with confidence at their ability to compete. And I think they'll be really sharp today against PSG.
Completely agree. I remember when we saw Game 1's draft and I was like, is this the haymaker? No, that was kind of just the status quo and how they believed draft should be played. Especially when they got to Game 5, I quite loved their draft, and I hope they continue to do that because, hey, they scared Zeus off of Twisted Fate. So my takeaways here is to accept small wins and don't overforce. That's actually kind of what was their undoing in their 5th game, whereas over the entire series, they were getting flashes off of Faker, backing away in fights when they couldn't get more, and then doubling down in the next fight to kill him. So like, I love that one. And then of course, just like creative drafts in early games. Thank you, Duffman and Dylan. I think that was just another thing that was really good for them. And then just get Mickey moving early, just getting moving first, because every time there was a one fight in the top side of the map, anytime on side lane or mid lane, it was because they just had the numbers advantage that always surprised T1.
See, I love everything I see here, but this is a G2 series,
Yeah.
and I know G2 series, when they're supposed to be in a good situation, they do the funniest thing ever. They will usually perform against the stronger teams, but when it comes to potentially weaker teams, this is the funny moments. This is what we call the content games in the LEC. Are we going to see this today against G2? Because they can get carried away with all the madness.
Listen, I have good news for you.
Yeah?
PSG has revealed themselves as not actually being that funny.
That's
so
true.
I'd say when FlyQuest was playing PSG, let's check out the expectations for PSG. There were low expectations about PSG coming into this tournament. And it was funny to a lot of people when FlyQuest ended up losing to PSG. But then when they take BLG to 5 games, actually, so listen, this guy actually was kind of strong. I mean, they did actually
He's
qualify.
trying, okay?
They did qualify here, so you're thinking like, okay, they'll put up a good fight. Maybe they'll beat, the CB Law or something. But this is what they have actually, turned into in the gym. So I think this is what G2 sees. Honestly, I think this is what G2 sees, and they're going to be sharp and treat them like a top-tier team.
Should not underestimate them here.
I was about to say, that first image, that guy was carrying more bars than I ever could. I mean, but still, to the point that people were making, we had like lower expectations for PSG going into the main event, and they really surprised us all. I think they've gotten so much better in how they played around swaps. Still not better than the bigger teams, of course, but their willingness to take team fights, their execution in those fights, we need to see more of that from them.
Before we talk about the rest of the series, I have a game for you guys. Because we've been talking to pro players.
Yeah.
They're going to ask you game questions. We want to test your knowledge.
Okay.
We want to see if you've been working on the last patch, if you know exactly what's going on in the game. So it's going to be really, really specific questions. The trick is, I got some spicy Chinese snacks here.
Okay.
If you don't, I mean, you're supposed to be good.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm good at this game, then it's fine.
Where's the nearest washroom?
Oh my god. I just want to say that I opened this before the pre-show and it smells really, really, really bad. So let's get into it right now. Here's the first question we have from Razork. Let's check it out.
How much percentage of tenacity and heal and shield power Chemtech Drakes gives you when you kill?
Oh, it's a Chemtech Drake question. Raz, do you know this one?
So,
X-Tech, hell no.
Because I
Chemtech Drake.
Chemtech
Drake.
Yeah,
What
Chemtech, yeah,
percentage
sorry,
heal and shield?
3.
5%.
Okay. 5% is your answer? Raz?
Yeah, I'm
3.
going with 5. I'm going with 5.
I don't know the answer. I just said it with confidence.
No, yeah,
Let's reveal the answer right
Maybe
now,
too much
shall we?
confidence, brother.
And what
I'm
is
gonna
the
love
answer?
this!
Maybe too much
6%.
confidence.
Did you just
Maybe it's
Google it?
3%.
I did. I
Maybe
wasn't sure if it was 5 or 6%, but it is 6%.
It is indeed
I hate him.
6%.
If it was 5 at one point, do I get it right?
Yeah, he wasn't sure either.
Yeah,
so
he wasn't. Give me. We gotta go. I'm just going.
Let's go.
Let me take. I'm not gonna smell it because I already know what it smells like. Oh no.
Don't eat it all. Don't eat everything. Just be careful. We have to finish the show. Okay.
I took like.
Second
keep going.
question, as you guys digest, is coming from Yapton America himself. Let's check it out.
My go.
Do Void Mites from the Void Grubs give Aurelion Soul Stardust?
All right.
Void Mites from the Void Grubs.
Do they give Assault Stardust?
I think they did, but
going
now they
with yes.
didn't. So I'm gonna say no.
You say
going
no?
with yes.
You're going with yes, and
Yeah.
you're going with the next snacks we have then. We're gonna ramp it up, by the way. I didn't say it, but
What?
like, yeah, the more wrong answers you get, the
So he was
spicier it
wrong.
gets.
They don't
You're
get snacks.
wrong. They
Yeah,
don't.
that would be broken.
The answer is no. Is it good?
I'm dying out here, brother.
Let's prepare some water maybe. Third question
answer is
here
no.
is coming from T1 Zeus. Let's check out what he had to ask.
I
the
already
answer
knew
was no,
that
yeah.
answer, brother. You don't need to tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm paying for it.
Hey, I was close on the first one too.
Last question?
근거리 미니언 경험치는 몇을 주는지.
What kind of minion?
So we went
Caster
with,
or melee?
So we're gonna use the shared XP. So how much shared XP does the caster minion give?
17.
You got this one.
She just
I'm
laughed.
doubling down with you, brother.
She already laughed. Give a different number. Say
Okay,
19 or
all right.
21.
Going 21, brother.
All right, it is 37.12%, guys.
Oh, the
0.12.
shared
You don't
XP.
know your League of Legends?
Of course, the shared XP. I mean, I used to
Are
have
you
the
guys
XP.
fine?
Chat, don't even act like you know this.
I already had one of these.
Don't even act like you know that, chat.
Okay, so I should
don't even act.
I should eat the whole thing.
While the boys try and recover here, we're going to check out an interview because after G2's close loss to T1, I got a chance to catch up with head coach Dylan Falco to discuss how the team is preparing to take on PSG in the Verizon Game Day interview. Watching the PSG game versus BLG, what were your main takeaways about the opponent that you're about to face? What impressed you the most?
Well, I thought Maple played very well that series. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. I think Game 5 was a bit of a stomp, right? I'll have to really be prepared for PSG. I think their mid particular is playing quite good, and as long as we have a good plan, I think we'll be okay. What's your take on the bot lane also? Because people have been praising Betty so much for his Zeri, but his overall performance, I feel like. Yeah, Zeri is like something not a lot of teams at the tournament are playing. Like, it's a lot of very aggressive things. So I'm not sure. Maybe it'll come out. I'm not sure. What do you want to see from your boys that they didn't show against T1, maybe? I think just a bit more patience in good game states. I feel like 2 of our 3 losses, we were actually in very winning positions. But it's hard, right? Enemy's also playing very well. They're putting you to the test. But I think just patience when the game is good. Thank you for this interview and your insights, Dylan. And good luck on the next match. Thank you.
Patience when the game is good, which is what you were saying actually, but there's a specific matchup that I want to highlight here. We've talked about how good BB was in the previous game, and I think there's a case for both top laners here being really good, especially on the diversity of the champions they brought to the game so far.
Yes, I think I was really liking Aj's overall champion pool throughout the event, specifically the Udyr during lane swap. I enjoyed. They had to like have multiple dives with how sturdy he was, so I enjoyed that side. For Broken Blade, the Yasuo was my focus, Jack.
Yeah, I'm just jealous that Broken Blade's in the LEC because he's so exciting to watch. I'd say earlier years of Broken Blade, he was so creative in the way that he played the map and team fought, and he's kind of added this new element where he's also amazing in laning phase, and he has these unique picks. So I think he's a big reason that G2 is my favorite today.
That's honestly my focus as well. When he went up against Zeus, he had the better of the matchup for the majority of the series. He had actually performed so well. As I mentioned earlier, even forcing him off the Twisted Fate because of just the champion pool that he had. So I think Broken Blade has been incredible. Feel bad for Aja because on his own birthday in Game 5, that man got whooped. So it was not good. So I would love to see a better play from Aja in particular because I think the bottom side of that map really stepped up. And if he does it, this could be a great series.
Let's see how much all this matters, though, with all the lane swap and K'Sante dominance in the game. I want to check our predictions.
Okay.
Here. Of course, I will be rooting for our boys. I think I went 3-1
G2's
because I always trust G2 to just throw the
G2
content
fans.
game.
Let's go.
I'm sorry,
you have
G2
more
fans.
faith than I do.
Yeah,
but you're not used to them as much as I am.
I am used to G2. They're the best Western team when they're not playing Energy.
This is going to be immediately screenshot and thrown on socials because G2 doesn't like this level of hope.
I'm going to get flamed so much.
Just for saying they'll win? Or because you don't have faith?
Because we're cursing them.
For saying that they're, and for saying that they're just going to throw one game.
Listen, we know that they're a team that plays with a lot of confidence. We know they have a lot of continuity. They kept the whole roster together from last year. They do not lose in the LEC. They just win every single split. Caps has like 1 billion titles now because you split the stocks of LEC titles, and there's 4 a year now. But I would just say they are not going to take PSG lightly because of what happened last year against Energy, and I think they're going to sweep.
All right. Let's see what they can do. They had a great showing at MSI so far. We'll see if they can continue. We are ready for our first series of the day. The last standing hope for the LEC versus our PCS representatives. G2 Esports takes on PSG Talent in a do-or-die match. Let's get ready to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin for takeoff. Thank you very much once again for the raid. We'll be watching G2 vs PSG, followed by T1 versus Bilibili. Banger on banger on banger on banger. My eyeballs are dry. But that's okay. Let's watch this hype video.
PSG showed up a big fight as well against PSG, so it is much more
I have that Monte Cristo. 5 a.m. wake up is not easy for me, man.
You took 2 games from LPL. We took 2 games from LCK. I hope we don't underestimate each other.
G2， 我已经准备好把你们从败者组淘汰了。
We're not done yet.
We predict to win today.
We're gonna finish what we started.
I think it's Bilibili time. I think it's G2 time.
22년에도 23년에도 항상 빈 선수한테 떨어졌었는데.
What's up, Valentine?
또 이렇게 만나게 돼서 반갑고.
觉得宙斯是个非常强的选手吧，但是遇到我的话，他的这个面发挥不出来。今年我们变得更强了，所以我非常有信心可以击败他们。我觉得我就是这次在 MSI 最强的上单选手。
빈 선수 일관성 있게 자신감 있는 모습은 보기 좋지만 이번에는
Did
제가
Dom oversleep?
최고의 탑라인을 아는 것을 증명해 보이겠습니다.
Nah. He's gonna be alright.
3比1赢你们，
Trust.
今年我们也会送你们回家。
What's up, Mats 15?
지난번 월즈 때처럼 모두 다 꺾어버리고.
Prediction Jimaro, I think 3-1 G2, followed by 3-2 Bilibili. That's what my headspace is at today.
And welcome to Chengdu, China for the final day of the first stage of the bracket stage of MSI. I'm Mehdi, that's Vedi, and in the middle we have our wonderful
Drake the Cake. BBL Drizzy, thank you very much.
Gentlemen, the last time we cast together, we had a banger Game 5 series. I'm hoping for another as G2 and PSG find themselves in the face of elimination. A lot of pressure on both sides as they were both so very close to making an incredible upset.
Send some advertisements right now so we don't get
coming in, actually, we're talking about it as well.
Completely CC'd mid-game.
Game 5, G2 versus T1 still felt very competitive. Unfortunately for PSG, when it came to that home stretch, we weren't really able to maintain the same level. I'm really going to be looking at their draft here today. That was, I think, one of the biggest weaknesses going into that final game. And G2, they made me sweat a whole lot. They made T1 sweat. And I imagine PSG is going to be sweating going into this one as well.
And both teams fighting for their region's position here at MSI as well, with Fnatic getting knocked out by TL yesterday. G2 the last LEC representatives, and for a team that has often been called the only hope of the LEC and sometimes even called the only hope of the West, the expectation for them today should be to make it through this series. If PSG do fight like they did against BLG though, I think we're ready for a bit of a barnstormer.
I mean, confidence is going to be the name of the series. Obviously, both teams find themselves, well, with their backs against the wall, their tournament lives on the line, and they're going to need to play their hearts out to stay alive in this tournament. Game 1 draft underway. Senna and Ashe taken away by G2. The Rek'Sai being respected by PSG with the Orianna. So clearly, PSG learning from what we saw against T1, taking away some of the power picks that G2 demonstrated against Faker
triple AD
and the
ban.
rest of T1.
Wonder if the Zac will follow as well. I think Broken
Please, can we prioritize Varus over Kalista?
Allows G2 to lane swap. I think we did see that.
I would love to see a Varus prior over Kalista. I don't wanna see Kalista no more.
But it keeps swapping against you. PSG struggled.
I don't wanna see Western Kalista no more. Stop.
Yeah, a lot of Kalista priorities so far at this MSI. I don't think we've seen Kalista really pop off to the degree that perhaps we expected. There's also a mix between a lot of the AD carries from the LCS and the LEC are actually building on hit.
Kalista's a big pick here, unless your name is Jackie Gumeushi.
Carries like that opportunity. Yumu's lethality Kalista a little bit more.
Jackie Gumeushi and Mr. Elkovic.
Like a ridiculous KDA who didn't feel like he was the one taking over the game. Was much more about the setup.
I think you just need to like. I think if you don't snowball with Kalista, I think you're in big trouble. Poppy support just like that dry, man. Mikyx is just feeling himself, man.
We'll see how they respond. Will they lock
I think if you don't play Lethality Kalista, I think you're trolling. If you don't get Drakes, you don't get some kind of tangible advantage for sure. Kalista's a lot worse.
Away from now, Maple, we're now confident he is on the Azir, on the Talia. He's going to lock that one in Talia by bars.
Con Kalista's,
look at this draft from PSG,
I don't know, the three elite ADs.
Well,
first of all, Gumyushi and Jackie play for Varus. But Elk is a very special Kalista. They're not in the same realm as the other homies, I'd say.
Again, unless the Kalista opts into lethality, where it's not nearly as much as a problem, as you won't be hopping around.
But already this is quite a miserable game for Kalista to play.
The Aurelion Sol should be another consideration for PSG. We haven't seen it a lot from Caps, but for those that don't know, Caps was an early adopter of the champion, one of his debut performances back in Challenger Series before he even made it to the main stage of LEC. He secured a pentakill on the champion, on the old version of it, and since its changes, he has been an early adopter of it here in the
Rumble
LEC.
ban.
We've seen how effective
Rumble's good ban against Azir.
this tournament. And I feel like PSG should consider respecting it as G2 take the Rumble off the board. We know
Strange that we see Talia getting locked in against Jarvan. Usually we want to pick Azir here on 3. Azir on 3 and Aurelion Sol on 3. I need to wash my eyes.
A lot of PSG's impetus comes in the mid game. You already have the VAR, you have the point and click CC from the cease and desist into chain of corruption to seismic shove. So maybe you don't need as much CC here for PSG. They'll get rid of the LeBlanc, which opens up G2, as Vedi said, to that Aurelion Sol, which pairs up very nicely with it.
Jarvan Poppy is a combo, that's for sure.
Look towards is the Renata, a pick that we have already seen Woody play, and I think Renata into these type of short-range compositions could get a ton of value. Obvious downside is that you picking up, there you go, G2 drawing the same conclusion, because can pick up a...
Wait, they're picking Nautilus into Poppy super blind. This Poppy is very likely to go soup.
It's exactly what you were saying earlier, Medic. It provides additional lockdown. Double point and click is always going to be very strong into champions like the Kalista, and Nautilus just always feels like a very...
Are we just gonna see a little Kissante Aurelion Sol
PSG are just getting
in the 4-5?
Across the boards. I feel like PSG should be very happy with the direction they're going. They're taking their time, thinking about what they want to do moving into their final pick. Aja going to be getting that counter. How will he round things out as G2 will cement whether this top is likely to go top or if it's staying in support?
Yeah, if I'm PSG, I'm probably a little bit worried about a Braum here. Braum good into Nautilus in the lane, good against the Vi as well, because as she jumped onto the backline, the Braum just dashes in front and puts up the Unbreakable, making it a lot harder for the follow-up to come from the rest of the team. Instead, the Poppy is going to go to support. Zac in the top.
How about a little Caps Aurelion Sol?
A couple of exceptional performances on it against T1, so just giving a bit of comfort to BB in the top lane.
I wouldn't mind Azir either.
Has been the best performer for G2 so far at MSI.
Tristana.
Been one of the strongest performers, that's for sure. Tristana going to be the lock-in for Caps to round things out. We've seen how from Team Liquid yesterday,
they're quite
over-indexing in AD damage,
AD heavy.
given that the Zac does provide an element of AP.
Very
Sometimes
AD
in terms
heavy.
of itemization, it can be difficult. You want things like the Merc Treads to mitigate some of the utility on the side of G2, but also you want to build those armor boots. The risk that PSG run into is the possibility of a lane swap. That's why you go for the blind pick Zac. They know that they can send it towards the side lane. They can do those early swaps rather, and Zac can handle that fine. But in the
PSG's composition looks better, but I wonder if it looks better because it looks more familiar.
We'll see what the ultimate game plan
I think the red side, every motherfucker here is gonna buy fucking Ninja.
Also, as you point out, Vedi,
The hourglass are changing.
We've seen it counterpick many times into the K'Sante as well.
But they'll say that the game is quite strong.
As you point out,
Let's see what they bake.
particularly with these Kalista and Tristana,
Because I think they're picking Zac here to do the silent swap.
the push, meaning that if you get into mid game with a decent lead,
The real definition of it, not the double F definition of it.
a lot slower. I do think that eventually
I think that Zac is going to go bot, level 1, and they're going to begin the snowball.
He doesn't have as much space due to the Poppy.
Press 1 if you slept today. Shout out to all the grandmothers out there.
On the Kalista, if you have a Kraken Slayer on that Tristana into something like a Lord Dominic's Regards, you
I don't even know what that means.
work your way through that frontline tank line a bit
It's not even
easier than if it was a
provocative.
burst mage who can't
Doesn't get
work
the people
their way
going.
through that K'Sante as easily. PSG with a much more meta composition, much more standard, the big picks that we expect here. G2 once again throwing up a couple of curveballs, although I say this is relatively standard for them. I do wonder if we'll see them trying to split the map early like they did in the final game against T1, invading through that bot side and trying to get flashes out of the enemy bot lane.
This series is going to be all about confidence. You have to realize
Series is going to be all about confidence, blood.
Pushed oppositions that were expected to be heavy favorites to their absolute limit.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into some of this rift for the first game of the day.
Backs against the wall. Elimination for both PSG
Mambo
and
number
G2.
5. G2 are going to look to do a little split, like basically split map action with Zac. I want to see a Zac commitment. Let's begin the snowball. Oh, they're leaving already. They're looking for something else. Let's see Rodrigo and Duffman enact their dominance through their players. Use them as paintbrushes.
People saw the PSG BLG series and they were like, wow, PSG is scarier than we thought. Then the G2 T1 series happened, they were like, wow, G2 is scarier than we thought. And now you've got these two teams.
Early bird gets the bird. That's what they say, guys.
And for one of their runs that
I want to congratulate you all for being awake for this monumental moment. PSG are no slouches. Maple, PCS GOAT versus Caps, the European GOAT.
So it's not just the one series. Always leaves us with a bit of a sour taste. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting any lane swaps. Main thing of note for me, Hans Sama, I don't think
it is Mother's Day.
Pointed out Medic. Generally, the Western
I didn't sleep at all. This account means you're a different kind of breed of warrior, man.
Also going for the unhit Varus, which, given that we were kind of wondering to what extent are they going to be able
Caps should have initiative in this lane, but the last time he played Tristana, he really didn't do that much. Do a good job of
have a lot more power in
actually
traits, but into the amount of burst that G2 have available and
converting his winning position. His laning was good.
See how bad he's able to play it, because he was, I think, one of the big standouts.
Zac with no lane swap action here. He just didn't do any level 1 action. Caps with level 2 jump. Trades onto the Q. The rocks.
Trade down in the mid lane, level 2 secured for Mikyx and Hans.
Mikyx without no walls. If these walls could talk, then they would say, Poppy, please caress me with the body of somebody else.
I mean, we think back to that series, Poppy was definitely his best champion of the series
Kind of weird.
by far.
You know, when you play Poppy, you don't have all the best angles to trade, but when you're playing with the stronger AD, you do have opportunities to dive, of course, because you're stacking waves, and there's going to be walls under the turret.
For PSG,
no matter what.
But also, notice the early vision invested from PSG in terms of their entrances to the bot side. They were concerned about G2 leveraging their early strength, and we all know about that creative jarving pathing, right? Where you can do red, EQ over the wall, maybe even invade on the enemy camp. PSG were concerned about that.
If my grandmother had jungle skills, she would be a yike.
Let's see what he can do with this pressure that
Deep cut, if you know, you know.
Step up towards this blue. Junja went Wolves into Gromp. Now starting the blue, has popped the Vault Breaker as well. Yikes stepping in here, does have the smite, so does Junja.
Whoa, he's dry EQs into the wall. That's crazy.
Junja should just have to step away from this. Caps as well with push in the mid lane. G2.
Alright, works. Caps Prio, Poppy Prio, Kalista Prio. Base, man.
And a solid matchup in the 1v1 as well.
Good coordination. We like it.
The blue buff, that's going to set Junja a little bit behind.
Look at Ping.
Just call the Yike 89 years old.
They don't have control of the bot side, but Broken Blade with his push in top means that Yike was thinking about an invade, immediately gets pinged out though. Looks like he was spotted.
BB crashes the
so
wave.
he's decided, you know what, I'm not actually going to try and contest that top
Ah, okay, Santa Lane is not the strongest in the world.
He's pushing a little bit farther than he should.
Botling can't get dove, so Junjia is just crossing the top side and taking it easy. Yike has a slight advantage here, but
run because Broken Blade didn't get the question just yet as Betty.
I don't know what it is, but sometimes the puppies, they look so, you know, ew, exactly, ew is the word. But it looks like he's about to get slammed into the wall. I have a hard time judging the range of Poppy, man.
Small gold lead in favor of G2 for now, nothing to write home about though, as
honestly, the series is not too bad. I think the next Team Liquid series is not super exciting.
I wonder if PSG will try to contest that one, instead prioritize early dragon.
Because Team Liquid needs to play against either Bilibili or T1, and I think they're going to get roasted like a pig.
The more time you can have auto attacking those towers, it gives you
Triple long swap for Michael Gervais, Jarvan.
You don't get the mites, you are able to take out some turret plates early on in the game.
And Obviously, with the Mites or the Grubs, is always going to feel
TL
a
beats
little bit
Bilibili,
less
they have
impactful
better
than
macro.
getting a Herald, getting a Dragon. But we have actually seen, I think, after the buffs that came through to the Grubs, that they do feel a little bit more impactful, and that teams are more happy to contest them as Broken Blade really wants
Wake
to
up, Mr. West.
He gets the pop, he gets the plate, and he walks away. No Barmy Cinder on him yet, so it doesn't tank.
Yeah.
Oh, they keep the freeze, okay.
Out to that across the course of MSI.
I feel like PSG should be able to crash this.
Worth keeping an eye on the pings on the mini-map. G2 dropping a ping towards the Gromp.
No worries. How about we do? How about we see? How about we see some? Oh, I thought BB was about to do something creative, you know, walk into bot for a little gank with a 6 and the TP top. But he keeps it simple. Plays for lane. It's very risky to do the play that I suggested. I just wanna get the action going, man. We all woke up
But this arrival in the bot lane
for
opens
these
up the
demon
Grubs
hours.
Yeah, you see the immediate pings from G2. Yoink. Runs up there, will be able to secure all three of these Grubs. Broken Blade's TP back into the lane.
Zach also used his TP just in unison with, of course.
G2's bottom lane having to respect the fact that Junjo was in the area.
The Grubs won in 6 minutes. Some bit.